For our first story, we have my coworker, 18 male, put me, 22 female, on a hear me out cake and posted it online. Do I take action in some way? I work at a diner as a waitress with this kid, let's call him John. John has always seemed pretty chill and busses my tables. Sometimes we chat if we are closing together, usually about school, as he started college not too long ago and I am almost graduated with my BA. Ultimately, we are friendly but not friends. Last week he said that he was part of a group chat with a handful of other coworkers on Instagram and asked if I wanted to join. I said sure because I haven't connected with people at the diner that well and figured it was worth a shot. We swapped instas. The group chat is very normal, friendly banter between coworkers. Yesterday, I see that John posted a reel of him and a couple of his buddies doing their take on a hear me out cake, which is usually a very light-hearted and funny way of saying you would get with what are typically fictional and mostly animated characters. The entire cake adhered to that concept, except toward the end, when my face, a picture that he must have screenshotted from one of my posts, is stuck on the cake. I was the only real person on that cake, and John actually made a comment about how attractive I was and that he wished that he could hit that, but doubts he has a chance. I feel insanely grossed out and kind of violated. I want the video taken down, but I'm not sure if I have the right or authority to do that. I ranted about this to my sister, and she told me to just take it as a compliment and be glad that someone thinks I am pretty. It feels wrong doing that. Is this grounds for taking this issue to higher-ups? I don't know if I am comfortable working with him at the moment. Do I just take care of this myself and tell him that it makes me uncomfortable and I want him to take it down? It is a public video. I am just uncertain how to move forward. That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, go up to him at work and say, hey, can you delete that video you made about me? The one where you printed a picture of my face and put it on a cake, it's really fucking weird. Our second commenter says, this would make me uncomfortable too. I feel like he posted this knowing you'd see it and hoping you'd respond positively to it. Either way it's awkward and I'm sorry you're in this position, I'm cringing for you. I think the fastest way to get it taken down would be to talk to him about not being comfortable with your photo on a public video. If he apologizes and takes it down, I'd say you may not need to escalate. If you have a decent relationship with your manager, it may not hurt to ask to shift your schedule around to avoid him too. Good luck OP. Our third commenter says, young people are so fucking weird these days. For our second story, we have I, 18 female, just found out something horrible about my boyfriend, male 18. Me and him haven't been dating for long, a couple months at most. But something had been bothering me a lot. He mentioned something in passing conversation with my friends that was concerning to me. I'm not going to go into specifics, but it was something political that I didn't agree on. So after this outing I sat him down and explained I wanted to have a conversation with him about it. Right off the bat I told him, it's not because you're Republican, or even who you voted for, it's that you said you supported that specific policy. I don't care what party you belong to or who you vote for, but I'd like for our values to be the same. And he immediately started screaming at me. He called who I voted for a piece of SHT bag, and I obviously got upset. I didn't yell or curse at him back, I just kept trying to calmly explain why I felt the way I felt about things. I'd never seen him get this angry before, and it was difficult to stay calm since I have PTSD from a past abusive ex. I tried to explain that I was uncomfortable with him saying that because I don't want to date someone who openly says horrible things like that about women. He had always been very patient with me, but the moment I brought it up, the first words out of his mouth were, "Are you f***ing serious?" Which was jarring because he's never spoken to me that way. I tried to explain that, again, I wasn't upset or angry at him at all. I just wanted to make sure we wanted the same things because I didn't want conflict in the future. He immediately jumped to telling me I was trying to force the blame on him for what this politician was doing. At this point I got really frustrated and went to take a breather. When I came back, unbeknownst to me, he had called my friend and kept him on the phone to listen to us talk. I was upset after I found this out because it was a private conversation and I was beginning to cry because of how hurt I was. After this point the argument wasn't about politics anymore. I started talking about how it hurts my feelings when I slip up and he yells at me or makes me feel horrible for it. I referenced another incident where I accidentally called him my friend's name mid-conversation because I'd been on the phone with said friend 5 minutes before. He flipped out and didn't text me for 3 days, removed any content of me on his social media, and muted me. Then he came back crying and telling me he was horrible and immature. I've always been sweet, maybe a little too sweet, so I forgave him. But this time something was different. I got angry at him towards the end, I won't lie. I told him, if you're gonna act like a fucking baby over me trying to have a mature conversation, then clearly we aren't a good match. And he proceeded to tell me my friend was on the phone. Funny part about this is the friend called me when I got home and called him a tweaker, laugh out loud. But yeah, I'm not sure if I did the right thing breaking up with him. He always was kind of a red flag, making jokes that were more just genuine threats and mean remarks towards people. But he always told me he would never talk to me like that, and I believed him. But I did want to know if the argument we had was silly or if I was being too harsh in my judgment of the situation. If anyone has some advice, please throw it my way. Update. Closing parenthesis exclamation mark. I didn't expect to get so many replies to this. Thank you so much for all the advice. Some of it, albeit harsh, was definitely stuff I needed to hear. As of right now, we're broken up with no intentions of getting back together. He's currently harassing my friends to get me to unblock him or meet up with him, but my answer is gonna be hell no every time. Again, thank you so much. One more thing, I didn't know that he was a Trump supporter until after we started dating and was completely blindsided by it. Had I known, I absolutely wouldn't have said yes to him asking me out in the first place. That's on me, though I should have asked. That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, greater than, but yeah. I'm not sure if I did the right thing breaking up with him. Yes you did. Our second commenter says, greater than threats and mean remarks towards people, greater than, but he always told me would never talk to me like that, and I believed him. You should be embarrassed and turned off by assholes, even if they aren't an asshole to you personally. Our third commenter says, you don't be with someone who talks to you like that. For our last story, we have Mike, 25 female, boyfriend, 26 male, of 5+ years ghosted me and is now dating someone new. Hi everyone, I have been in a serious and committed relationship with my boyfriend for over 5 years. We started dating in 2019, and in 2022, he moved for work while I stayed in our home country to finish med school. We've been long distance since. Our future plans were always unclear. He used to say he'd come back after saving up to start a business here, but when I tried to seriously discuss it a few months ago, he shut me down, claiming I was starting an argument, instead of just going along with the status quo. His only real response was trying to convince me to give up my dream of becoming a doctor and move For him, I stood firm on wanting to stay and serve my country, and from then on, his replies became dry and distant. A month ago, he started ignoring my calls and texts completely. I even told him I was now willing to consider moving for him, and the last message I got was a half-hearted, "Are you sure?" After I said yes, he disappeared completely. It's now been 3 weeks since he last responded. And then, I found out why. I saw receipts from his date night with a girl at his work, both from his stories and his email. He never officially ended things with me, but he's out there dating like I never existed. Now I'm wondering if I should message the girl. Not to confront her, but just to tell her the truth that he's still technically in a relationship and is lying to both of us. Part of me wants to let it go and move on, but another part feels like she deserves to know, just like I would if I were in her place. I've also seen a similar cheating story happen to one of my close friends. What she did was leave the guy alone and just move on. But from what I can see, she's still miserable. Meanwhile, the guy is out there living his best life with a new girl like he faced zero consequences. I don't want that to happen. Any advice is very much appreciated, especially that I'm about to take the physician's exams this year, but my head is all over the place and I seriously don't know how to be at peace. Thank you. That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "It sounds like he made no effort to hide this new relationship. Sounds to me like in his mind he was single, he just never bothered to let you know. I would let the new girl know about his bad manners as a warning, but otherwise let it be and block him everywhere. He is also not entitled to crop up 10 years later asking for that hoodie he left at your place. It sucks but just move on. Our second commenter says, if I were that girl I'd like to know. Our third commenter says, tell her, if I was her I'd want to know if someone didn't even care to end a relationship before starting a new one. That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.